Hello there, Libra. It's always a pleasure to read for you, and I hope that your September is getting off to a really great start. Of course, this is your September reading, and for everybody that is a returning viewer, I'd like to give you a nice warm welcome back. Good to see you, and if you're brand new, an especially warm welcome as well. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and the way that I organize the readings every month is as follows. I like to start off with channeled information, and this is when I select a deck of cards, meditate, and then I receive information through empathic feelings, through clairvoyance, and basically then I share it with you. So I love that part because it's just raw intuition. After that, I like to move along to a Celtic cross, which is a more traditional tarot spread. And through that, I see really everything that needs to come through. That's going to highlight the really great opportunities coming through, some of the challenges, and then all of the in-between stuff that makes the month either fantastic or challenging. And we'll see what the energy is for this month. After that, I expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. What this does is it really balances everything out, and it allows me to focus on the main message first and then hit on those points that I know all of you appreciate with that expanded forecast. As you know, these can always be used for your sun, your rising, and your moon signs. You can also watch on behalf of someone that you love in your life. And if you don't happen to know all of that information, then just stick with the sign that you were born under, and you'll get all the information you need by doing that. So as you can see, every month, it's very organized and still very organic, and I think that it gives you one of the deepest dives here that you can get on YouTube. So if you like what you see, I hope you stick around until the end, because at that point, in addition to giving you a nice, concise review of everything that we just talked about, I will also go into how you can support the channel. I'm going to quickly highlight it here. It includes everything from, of course, liking and subscribing to joining me on social media, booking an appointment if you would like additional advice, or becoming a patron and adding a contribution to what I'm doing. And that can be anything from Patreon to even clicking the join button here. So again, much more at the end, and I'll detail how this actually helps out. But I know you want to come here for the forecast, so I'd like to get into that myself as well. Let's talk about your channeled information for the month of September. All right, Libra, as I selected a deck of cards and I began to meditate on your sign, what came through was very beautiful, very surreal, reminded me of a painting. In fact, it reminded me of a Spanish surrealist painter named Salvador Dali. If you ever look at any of his paintings, things are very kind of like stretched, abstract, bizarre, and what I saw was a very abstract version of a clock. It's something that would either be in one of his paintings or maybe Alice in Wonderland. But what I saw was a clock face that then became a face, and upon the face I saw the hands of the clock starting to move. And then I was drawn to look at the face's third eye, and when that happened, I saw the hands move really quickly. And the message that came through is that we are creating our reality in every moment, and it is what we see it or what we allow it to be. So if we limit ourselves based on past experiences, disappointments, etc., then in essence our future can become limited, and we can warp the future based on our own warped lens or perceptions. The cool thing about this, however, is that warping can work in our favor, because if we don't like what we see now, we can kind of push through things and bring something into manifestation or creation. And also our own ability to believe in ourselves can kind of change things around us. It can pull in new people, it can allow them to see things that they didn't see before, and again, beliefs are constantly creating the future and your reality. I had a conversation with a family member, in fact, about how interesting clairvoyance is, because I had one dream in my life where I was able to see a past life, some things that were going on in the present, and then the future, and how the future connected to all three of these timelines, or all three of these points, I would say, in my life. So I saw a past life, a present life, and then something that would happen in a distant future life. And they all came together and showed me part of my kind of life experience and life purpose. So what I realized from that, and also from today's meditation, was that time is a strange human construct. When you get out of this body and into spirit, you realize that it isn't as important, and it's a lot more malleable, and it also doesn't feel as heavy or as long or as sometimes even difficult to navigate as it does on this planet. Everything about Earth can be sometimes feeling dense. Language takes a long time to work. The days seem to kind of sometimes drag along until you stop focusing on it. Because when you really just start to exist within the moment Have you ever noticed the older you get, the more involved you are in your life, the more things that are going on, it feels like that clock is going really fast, and all of a sudden things start to happen. And when you achieve success in your life, it sometimes takes you by surprise, because you get to a point where you're no longer focusing on it, and then it just, bam, it happens. So what I want you to do is to realize that whatever you want in your life, it's there, it's in the future. You've already called it into existence. When you focus on the fact that it's not here right now, you kind of create a vacuum around you. It's like you suck all of the air out, all the opportunities, and that thing actually gets pushed further away. So what I want you to realize is, I already have it. I'm going to stop focusing on needing it or wanting it. I'm going to look right now, right here, and think, I'm creating it. What do I need to do to be more in the act of creation, of being? Part of that is being present. The other part of it is just continuing to feel the energy of what it is you're bringing in. Breathe it, see it, understand it, and almost feel it in your hands if it's something that's, a physical object or something that you're trying to create. This is going to help you. And I don't want you to think small. I want you to think in a very big way of what's possible. So I captured all of this in automatic writing. The 3 parts are as follows. First, tomorrow starts here and now. So as you're watching this video, you're creating tomorrow. Whatever is existing today, whether it's positive or negative, it's the net effect of everything that you thought of yesterday. So don't worry so much about what is or isn't happening. Focus more on what you're creating, because you're going to enjoy that tomorrow. Your beliefs are constantly creating your reality. This is potentially the most important piece of the 3 messages, because if you can keep your thoughts in a high space, thinking of what's possible, what your best attributes and most powerful sort of things that you bring to the world are, then you put yourself in a position of creation, of power, of autonomy. If, however, you somehow negate your power and think that the world is conspiring against you rather than in your favor, if you feel other people are able to constantly take away time, energy, affection, etc., and you just feel like you're shrinking, you do shrink. You start to limit your potential. So basically, this will help you with the final message I have here, which is to think as big or as sort of high frequency as possible. This will help you create the best and most impactful and most, I would say, fulfilling future that you can. Remember, as I said, you're always able to access past, present, and future. Time is a bit of a construct and a bit of an illusion. That future is also constantly in flux. So that's why we meet every month, because if I had everything for you till the end of time, actually my name would be Destiny, and I would just hand you a book and say, here you go, and it would be a very boring life. So instead, we read energy, and we basically each and every month show up and I talk about what you can do, and then you make choices. And then I look again and I see what people are doing, and then I read the energy again. Free will is awesome. Free will is empowering. Your free will can allow you to make great choices to make tomorrow better, and you aren't limited. That's the main message that came through. You may not get there in exactly the way you thought or wanted to get there, but you can still get there. So be open to different ways of doing things. Don't get stubborn. Don't get sort of down on yourself. Keep thinking about what it is that you need, what you want, what you're trying to create. Know that there are many ways to allow that to happen. And know that the timing can sometimes be something that is holding you back. So whether you do it next week or 2 weeks from now, it doesn't matter as long as you're still doing it. And the truth of the matter is your thoughts right here and right now are kind of defining when that is going to happen, okay? So anyway, a lot to take in, but ultimately be present here and now. Know that your thoughts are creating reality. Think big, don't think small. All right, let's go ahead now and look at the Celtic Cross as well as the expanded forecast to see what kind of messages are coming through for this month. I like to remain quiet at this point so that I can observe not only the placements of the cards, but also receive information as I'm looking at those. But afterwards, I'll pull up each and every card and we'll have a nice deep conversation about how this is going to factor in for the month of September. As we look at your catalyst card this month, we have a high-speed animal, but it's in a resting position. The gazelle is telling you to take your time to rest a little bit, and particularly because the rising sun is behind its head, I would say infuse your morning with some meditation, some purpose, before you just sort of engage in a mad rush for the day ahead. So if you could begin with a very brief meditation, it can be while you're still in bed before the alarm goes off, or after it's gone off, sit there for a minute. You could also, while you're taking a shower or getting ready, brushing your teeth, you can meditate during these mundane tasks because they don't require a lot of activity. So close your eyes while you're going about your morning routine and really think about what you're grateful for, what you want to focus on, and see the end goal inside, as we just talked about before I pulled all of the cards. This purpose will help you with motivation, with the momentum it's going to pick up, and it's also going to help you pace yourself. The fact that this speed-based animal is resting is really showing you that this is not a marathon this month. You're going to have moments of punctuated activity where you have to really go fast. You're going to have other moments of downtime. And those moments of downtime and rest are equally as important to your success. They're going to give you the energy, the peace of mind, and also, again, the focus that you need when it's time to kind of pick up that pace, okay? So as I look at the cards here, I'm going to try to identify where you should focus on putting more time, more energy, more effort, where you can rest, and what sort of things might be either helping you get to your end goal or pulling you back. All right, let's go ahead now and take a look at the Celtic cross. The first message that comes through at the center of your spread is to be kind and patient. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, something that I say at the end of my readings, by the way, and also to be patient with yourself and those around you. For many of you, this can happen when the timing doesn't work out. We've mentioned that that's a key component this month. Maybe a deadline was missed. It could be your fault. It could be someone else's. It could also be out of your control. Whatever's going on, if you can actually just deal with how to fix it rather than pointing blame, that's going to be really important here. And also, if a mistake was made and it was just an honest mistake, forgive that person or forgive yourself. That is part of being human, to err as human. What's, again, more important is how resilient you are and what you use this experience for in your life. You can either use it as a roadblock or as something to sort of feed, grow, and nourish your abilities to, again, rebound. That's what the main focus should be. Now, as we look at what's crossing Temperance, we have the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is focusing on possibilities. And this is a great card for manifestation. It's the first step in that. If you have a vision board, this is about putting everything there and seeing sort of the whole tapestry of how it's all related. So I love that this is here. The fact, though, that it's on top of a card that is actually indicating that you might get a curveball is saying don't be too rigid in your thoughts, because this can also be a card where you have like blinders on and you think there's only one way to do it. And there's a lot of different ways to start to see things happen. So this month, expect the unexpected. Take time to ground and center yourself when things take you by surprise. And then take a moment to look at all of the opportunities. Spin that globe. Look at everywhere that you could go before you decide on one path. And realize that you might actually have to blend 2 or 3 different points together or pieces of input, or you might have to take and revise that ultimate goal because you learned something along the way. In fact, I'd like to take just a moment and talk about how it's important to allow yourself to take a right or a left turn in your life. Whether it's in school and you want to change your major, or you've been working for 20 years and you think, I think I've learned everything that I need and want to on this path and I really want to pursue something else. It's okay, and I think it's a natural evolution of the soul. And it's almost like you're just shedding your skin like an animal would do, a snake would do. So with the Two of Wands, I think some of you are having a moment in your life where you're thinking, does this fulfill me? Does this fit who I am? Or have I outgrown this experience? Also, if you're young and you're trying to decide what you want to do for the future, but you can't figure it out just yet, this is telling you that probably what's necessary is experience. Looking for an apprenticeship, an internship, taking some time between one. I actually took a semester off between my undergrad and graduate school because I wanted to experience life. I think we should take even longer sometimes because it doesn't make sense to necessarily go straight into another experience before you have a chance to sort of take a deep breath and figure out who am I? What do I want to do? Is this the right thing? And I know that I've had 3 or 4 different evolutions during my life where I've decided, all right, I've learned everything that I need by doing that. Now I have to do something else or I'm going to be unhappy. So this month, listen to your heart, listen to your soul, and don't be afraid to revise who you are and what you're trying to do. We're constantly doing that. This is like a book. Remember that book, the story, The Never-Ending Story, that movie and the book. But we're writing it as we go along, just like that story. So if you want to change it, make it more exciting. If it's too crazy, pull it down a little bit, because some of you are ready for a rest, and that's what these 2 cards are showing as well. So I just had to highlight that for a moment, because I think sometimes, at least in the last century, there was a feeling like you had to do something a certain way because that's what society expected, and you had to stick with that job for your whole life. Thankfully, we're now evolving past that, realizing that things have to move a little faster and that we can evolve and change, and it doesn't make us any more or less steady or reliable. It means just that we're understanding who we are. And enough said with that. Let's look at your deep past. We have the 9 of Cups, which is actually a really great card to see in the deep past. The 9 of Cups usually indicates someone who has a really positive outlook on life, really tries to see everything from the highest point of view. There is a general caution with the 9 of Cups to not go to extremes, however. And that can even include extreme optimism. And I consider myself really optimistic and able to take anything and sort of rebound from it, as we were talking about. But with 9 of Cups upright, what it can show is that if you're expecting the best of everything and everyone and something comes through and there is a curveball, you don't want to go to a place of thinking, oh, I worked so hard and now this happened. Try not to hit the panic button this month. If something takes you, again, off guard, or you feel like something was somehow inflicted upon you, I want you to evaluate it and just think, wait, is this pause meaningful? Did this happen for a reason so that perhaps I could try something here or learn something about this person? Or why did I miss that? Is there something I have to work on in my own person as well? So try to just relax a little bit and take the good with the bad. And the 9 of Cups is also indicative of the fact that you can get back to that place that you were. Don't let one thing take you off of your really great trajectory. All right, so you can rebound. That's the overarching message with the first 3 cards that we see. As I look at your recent past, I have the Ace of Wands here in reverse, which is reminding you not to overthink things. Many of you may be at a point this month where you know that you need to make some sort of a decision or a change, but people around you are kind of pushing you in a certain direction, or even internally you're feeling this sense that you need to stay on this path. And I just talked at great length about the 2 of Wands at the center, which is to really give yourself permission this month to think outside of the box. And if you combine the 2 of Wands with the Ace of Wands, that's really what it is think of a new way of doing something, allow yourself to dream, basically. In those dreams, however big the dreams will be, remember I said at the very beginning to think big, I would also say dream big. Out of that can come a kernel of something that is really, really achievable. And if you don't dream it first, if you can't imagine it, then it's never going to happen. So try not to put any unnecessary constraints on your ability to hope, to wish, to dream. It's very powerful, and it's essential for creative people, for business people as well. That's how someone like Bill Gates thought of Microsoft, and Steve Jobs thought of Apple. You have to have the ability to imagine how one thing can change the whole world or change a whole industry. Ace of Wands in reverse is also a vitality card, but it's vitality that is attached to emotions and thoughts. I usually attach swords to the body, but if it's a health-related card or a vitality one in reverse like this, but this is showing me that some of you are lacking motivation or the energy that you need when you get up in the morning to sort of feel like, I'm ready for the day. And I think that this could be because some of you are just really harsh on yourself. You have high goals and expectations, and you also might have this feeling that things are not working out the way that you had planned. And this is really enforced, or I should say reinforced, by judgment in reverse in the crowning position. And this can be simply a very self-critical card, and it can also be an unnecessarily binary view of what's possible. This is showing that it's one way or another, but there's no other way around that. And that's really not how the world works. It's not just black and white. And just because this didn't happen now, it doesn't mean that something else can't happen in the future. So I see a lot of messages this month about taking a deep breath, relaxing a little bit, pacing yourself, doing the best that you can, and then looking at what you really want to redirect and focus on. We have some great cards here in the next 5 cards, but it's really important that you get through the energy of these 4 or 5, which is why I'm spending so much time on that. So I hope I helped you with that. Now I always like to focus on how you can flip the cards into the upright. For Ace of Wands, again, it's simply about allowing the possibilities to come through and not trying to discount something before you've had a chance to give it a shot. For Judgment reversed, you're overlooking the part of this being sort of like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Judgment is one step away from the world, and that's when everything happens. It's an expansion card. It can show distribution, publication, all sorts of awesome things. It's usually an outreach and a publicly visible card. But what has to happen first for some of you is rejection and setbacks, because it's the universe toughening your skin. If you can't handle this, then you're not going to be able to handle all the awesome stuff that's around the corner. And I know that may sound counterintuitive to you, but that's what I'm seeing with this card. So this month, try to not see what's happening as an affront or a negative sort of commentary on who you are or what you're doing. See it instead as the universe saying, one last time, are you sure? All you have to do this month is say, yeah, I'm sure, I'm ready. And Judgment releases, opportunities open up, and things get easier, okay? So a lot of this energy is kind of all inside, and you can either take it and expand, because to me, the World card is like a supernova. All of this stuff that you've been working on, it gets dispersed and spread, and you change forms and you are something new. Or you're gonna keep it all inside and just sort of feel the energy and the pressure mounting. You don't want that. So let go of it, say that you're ready. Don't worry if something is kind of not the way you expected it. It's okay. That's actually a sign that the universe is preparing you for the big shift that is in front of you. The other aspect of this card is that it can mean that something's going on in your life that is completely out of your control. This could be a loss of a loved one, a loss of a place that you're living in, maybe due to some sort of natural catastrophe. It can also be a positive shift like graduation or something else going on in your life where there is just a lot of change happening really quickly, and the more you try to hold on to it, the more it seems to sort of be spinning out of your reach. So the most important thing for you to do this month is just to take a deep breath, be flexible, kind of roll with the punches as these changes are happening, and understand that this is sometimes not always your fault or about you, especially since I'm seeing this as being sort of an external thing. So if somebody else went through a difficult time and you wish you could fix it for them, you can't always do that. It could be a health issue with someone. It could, again, be losing something of value, whether it's a person, a place, or a thing. It can really be frustrating to see that thing slip away, but we can't always hold on to everything going around us. I mentioned in another sign sort of the analogy of the sun. When you think about the sun, it does bring everything into an orbit, but occasionally something comes through and pushes a moon out of an orbit from one of the planets, and it can't control that. Or sometimes a planet gets shifted out. And so there are only so many things that you can hold on to. And this month you're going to be challenged to release something. And think of it as allowing you to make room for something new. And so you're creating space in your heart, space in your mind, and maybe even actual space in your life to allow for something better to grow. So there's something on the horizon that's really exciting for your sign this month. The universe is kind of shaking things up for you, but in a way that is a lot easier than, for instance, the Death card or the Tower. But Judgment does mean that some of this is out of your control and it could frustrate you. So I'm encouraging you to let go, to move forward, and to realize there's something better, okay? As we look at your near future, we have the King of Swords in reverse. There's a couple of messages coming through with this card. The first is to take action this month. So once you've figured out what it is that you want, and once you've kind of worked through whatever challenges have presented themselves, as we see with the first 4 or 5 cards, I think now you can start to focus on your action plan for the next month or the next year ahead. And I want you to try every day to progress a little bit further, to push the needle forward. Because the King of Swords is associated with communication, this can be something like picking up the phone and talking to someone, sending out an email, or just having a conversation with somebody that is kind of a mover and a shaker and can make something happen. Basically, this month the onus is on you to start the momentum, and from there things start to pick up. But you have to at least initiate it to get everything started. All right, as we look at your ego this month, we have the Empress card reversed. Now, the Empress is actually a great card for organization, for management, for being able to birth and create something in your life. So if you are trying to develop your own business or change something, even about your own body, if you wanted to start to get into shape or something like that, this is the perfect month to put something like that into motion. Now, because we have, I actually see 3 court cards in reverse. We have the King of Swords, the Empress, and the Queen of Wands. For some of you, I feel like there's too many opinions going on around you. And sometimes when these things happen in relation to us and our lives, it sort of feels like I can't make anyone happy. And if that's the case, again, going back to sort of the Two of Wands that we saw at the center, what's important is, do you feel good about where you are, who you are, what you're doing? At the end of the day, that's the most important piece. And these sort of warring personalities or voices around you, they're not that important. The Empress, though, can be a tricky card because it often indicates a boss, a parent, or an advisor, or even a friend that kind of ends up getting into your life and trying to run it. And so for you this month, there is definitely a need to sort of stand up to that kind of personality if they exist. And if you see yourself exhibiting those same characteristics, there's an encouragement, especially with Temperance in the middle, to just take a step back. A lot of times when I see this card, the way to flip the Empress reversed around is simply to wait for someone to say, I need your help. Or what's your thoughts on this, or whatever. So wait for the question, wait for someone to reach out, and then go ahead and give them all the help that they need. And if you need help, or if you need someone to give you space, you also have to use the same sort of communicative skills, and don't mince words. The King of Swords in reverse is a very direct card. And so with this, I think it's important for you to absolutely state your expectations, whatever you need for success, whatever you need for privacy, all of that. Just say, this is what's important to me. I don't want there to be any miscommunication or any misunderstanding. By doing that, you're going to show yourself as a strong leader, and other people are going to think, all right, I trust you. And what's cool about the Empress, once we flip her into the upright position, is that you're not going to get any sort of test coming in, personalities sort of coming in and saying, hey, are you ready for this? Are you sure you're a leader? When it's reversed, if it's you leading other people, basically what it shows is you have to trust them more. If someone is acting as Empress reversed towards you, it's because you haven't spoken up enough. So that's how you can kind of shift the energy. As a leader, trust. As a person, as a worker, as a colleague, speak up more, be strong. And if you do both of these this month in both capacities, you're really going to embrace the positive energy and message with that card. In the environment, we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And as I looked at this card, I actually heard the old David Bowie song, Changes, come through. And this song is not only about changes going on in your life, but more importantly about being able to look at yourself and become a different person. Decide, if I am happy with who I've become, then great, but otherwise, this month is when you can start to make a radical shift in how you spend your time, your money, and really what you're trying to do here on the planet. And a Wheel of Fortune for me often indicates 4 seasons, 1 year, in other words. So what I'm seeing you embark upon is this brand new journey in your life. And I feel like you're ready to, for this month, push the button or turn the ignition key and really make this happen. And you'll be in a different space next year. People will view you differently, you'll view yourself differently, and you probably will be doing something different in your career as well. So major changes are happening. They may seem subtle now, or the biggest piece of this may simply be in perspective and perception. But once that happens, then it's almost like the supernova begins. This is when you can change everything about yourself and become something new, and the big expansion period is what I see for you. And 2020 is going to be when that expansion is for most of Libra. But the beginnings of that, they're starting right now. You're starting to put into motion certain things that you will, in a year from now, realize, wow, I'm so glad I made that change, that I took that leap of faith, I trusted myself. Don't fight the changes. That's what the Wheel of Fortune in reverse is showing me. Think of, again, something that's trying to move in one direction. If you move it in the other direction, you break it or you miss the opportunity. So if a window of opportunity opens up for you, it could be a job that requires you to move. It could be a decision that I need to go back to school, or I need to change my degree, or I'm ready now to do this because my heart, my soul, every fiber of my being is saying I have to do it. Then you have to honor this. And however you need to sort of make that change start to happen, take some action this month. Be the King of Swords. Really, like I said, pick up the phone, write an email, or just go for it. Because we don't get these windows that often, and I hope that you can utilize it. One last note with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Some of you may be experiencing a little bit of challenges when it comes to money, but Wheel of Fortune in and of itself is about change. So this is a month when you want to change your patterns or habits and also your relationship with money. So that's one thing. I would say that you wouldn't want to make a major purchase this month, but if there is a chance for you to sell something this month, it is good. So let's say, for instance, that Judgment reversed and the Wheel of Fortune reverse equate to a job-related transfer, then go for it. The only thing that I want you to be careful of this month is looking at the fine details of a contract, and that's what the King of Swords is indicating. Oftentimes, this can be a lawyer or someone who is really adept at crafting a contract. So just make sure that everything there is in your benefit. And for those of you that might be getting married, there could be a prenuptial agreement with that or something like that. Just make sure that partnerships, contracts, and anything where you are having to make a promise that you understand what you're committing to. As I look at the next two cards, I want to tell you the message first, and then I'll break down the symbology. But it's going to be really important this month for you to say what you mean, but also to sort of live that in your life, to embody it. So you have to walk the walk and talk the talk. They both have to be connected. Because if you think or feel something, but then you say something else, people are going to pick up on that and doubt you. We have Queen of Wands in reverse, which shows not only that doubt, but also the fact that something isn't clicking with your body language. So if you're really unhappy and you're forced to sort of coexist in a situation or with somebody, that has to be resolved this month or it's going to come to a head. There might be some sort of a conflict. There might be some sort of a situation where it just comes out one way, shape, or form. Better to do it in a constructive than a destructive way. And really, that's the opportunity for you this month. Before we expand the forecast, I want to talk about one last thing here. We have the Ace of Swords, as I just said, in your outcome. And I mentioned earlier that there was sort of two different sides of the coins with these two ace cards. The Ace of Wands, this is about what's going on up here and how it affects your body. The Ace of Swords, this is about what happens once you've resolved what's up here. So a lot of the kind of reduced vitality or energy that you're feeling at the beginning of the month, it is resolved one way, shape, or form. As I said, it feels like whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're holding in, it's going to come out. You're going to find a resolution. And by the end of the month, you're going to be ready and able to make some changes happen. You're going to find your voice again. You're going to find inspiration, and you're going to be able to really push the needle forward. All right, let's go ahead now and expand the forecast. This is going to include health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the health card. Health is not only what's going on in your body, but it can also show environmental shifts that affect you, as well as energetically how you're feeling. Your message this month with health is to take care of yourself. We have a warning signal that came through here. It says storm warning. For me, this is almost completely on par with what I would see with the Tower card. And so I'm going to interpret it in the same way, which is that if you take care of yourself, if you get proper sleep, eat well, and basically don't push yourself too far, things will be fine. If not, this is showing me that you're off course a little bit and that you could end up getting sick. There may be some extremes going on in your life as well. As I look in your deep past, the Nine of Cups can be overindulgence, drinking too much, eating too much, sitting too much. It can also show for some of you that you're just not feeling the best. There could be even water retention with this. Whatever's going on where you feel like your body's not where it needs to be, this card is kind of a nod saying, yes, it's time to make a positive change. And I got a lot of court cards coming through. A queen card, an empress card, and a king card. And all of these are seated. And when I'm looking at that in respect to a health reading, it's showing that for some of you, there's too much stagnation in your life. You're sitting too much. So this is a month when you need to move a little bit more. And if you do this, you can avoid what we see here, which is health problems. This is also saying that you want to pay attention to things going on in your life and in your body. So if you feel like something's wrong, get to the doctor. That's a warning signal, and that's what that warning sign is all about here. The other thing is I want you to be careful and very much focused on what's going on, because if you're multitasking, when I see a tower or a sort of a tornado card like this, it shows me that you lose your balance or you lose your focus. And sometimes this can result in you just sort of taking a slip or a fall, but if you're operating machinery, it could also be like a fender bender or something else. You don't want that. So really focus on the task at hand and put down that phone unless absolutely necessary, especially when you're operating any sort of machinery. The good news is you're watching it now, so you have a chance to avoid this. It's a warning, not something that already has happened. You'll get some signs and signals this month. Always listen to your body. Always listen to your intuition. It won't lead you astray. As we look at your wealth card, which is not only how you're attracting opportunities, but also what opportunities are coming through, I actually get the feeling that some of you are feeling overlooked. I have a very positive message if it were upright, you are special. But when it's reversed, it's almost saying people don't see you for who you are, or you're feeling underappreciated. If this is the case, it completely explains why some of you are feeling like it's time to change what you're doing for a living, or change the perspective of your employer so that they can see you for someone that you are. And it might mean standing up for yourself or trying to seek out another option. The other thing here is just to remember that self-confidence is really important. You have to believe in yourself, and you do have to believe and embody that feeling that you are special, that you make a difference, and you have something to bring to the plate. Notice how this person isn't making eye contact. I think one of the nonverbal things that you can do this month is to really make sure that you're sitting upright, that you're smiling, and that you're connecting with people eye to eye. That says a lot more than, imagine if I was doing the reading like this, you wouldn't connect with me. And if I had this terrible sort of frown on my face. So I think what you want to do, this is exaggerated for effect, but kind of look at yourself, maybe record yourself or watch yourself when you're talking in the mirror and see if you can adjust your body language so that you are putting out the best possible version of yourself. And that so if you're trying to ask for a raise, for instance, that you're holding yourself in a way that means, hey, I'm here for business, that you look the person in the eye and that you believe it, mind, body, and spirit. And you use your volume, you use your words in a way that lets that person know that, hey, I better do something because I feel like this person may leave if I don't. So believe in yourself. Help others see that in yourself by embodying it. But you might have to practice for a month even as a mantra. I am worth this. I'm ready for the opportunity. I am special. All of that stuff, really kind of integrate it into your energy system and then have the conversation. Because unless you believe it, that other person is not going to believe it. You can kind of see if somebody is, they kind of have an air about them, have sort of inner power. And that's what I'm seeing here is that you have all this great energy this month, but you've lost your confidence on some areas. So I want to help you get it back, because once that happens, that's where I see the world. That's where I see the expansion for you, okay? Now, the really interesting thing is we have almost an identical message in your love area. The card was reversed, but I'm going to turn it upright so we can read it. It says, love yourself first. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. And I absolutely believe that self-respect equals self-worth, and I would think self-love equals also the love that comes through to you. It also defines what kind of people you're bringing in, because if you can't love yourself, you're going to bring in people that are trying to teach you that that's not the correct way to kind of view it. So they'll be testing your insecurities. So this is a month to really look at parts of yourself that you're not happy about, and if you can control it, focus on working on those. If it's painful, energy that you're holding on to, you could talk to somebody, you could work through some of those memories or those issues. Again, if it's health, because we saw that many of you need to improve the way you're kind of eating or exercising, you can work with a professional to get that in order. Whatever it is that you feel like I need to work on, do that integration, do some of that external work as well. And once you've done that, once you feel like, well, you know what, I've worked on myself. I feel really good about where I'm at. I couldn't change anything even if I wanted to. In fact, I love myself. I don't want to change myself. As you start to evolve kind of along those scales, then you will pull in someone who looks at you and think, wow, that person's got it together. They seem to respect themselves. They seem really satisfied with their life. They've fixed what's going on at work. They're not looking for me to pick up the pieces. I like that. And that's who you're going to pull in, as someone who's also done the work on themselves, because they probably want a like-minded partner. So you really are focusing on yourself this month. That being said, there is one card that can indicate new love coming in. It's the Queen of Wands in the Hope, Spheres, and Possibility space. The fact that it's reversed, though, is saying that the key component for your success in that relationship or any relationship is, again, to have absolute connection and parity between how you feel and what you're saying or doing. Once you've really kind of integrated that component, then that relationship will support it. But until then, there may be also a disconnect with that person, and what could happen is they're going to mirror what's going on in you. So you could have communication issues with them. They may say one thing but then not actually follow through on it. So it's important for you to figure out what it is that's sort of disconnected. If you're doing something that you don't like, then find a way to fix that. If you're feeling not well but pretending that everything's okay, then take care of your body this month. Something's up a little bit, and I'm seeing a disconnect between how people perceive you and what's going on internally. Fix that first, then you can focus on that relationship. Let's go ahead now and look at your outcome. Now, this is what I call destiny in this spread. It functions as a GPS or a wayfinding sort of card, but it isn't your absolute destiny. This is, as we said earlier, there are choices that you're going to make. That's why we show up every month. So if you like this indicator, you can stick with it. If you don't, then you can change it around. So this is from an Archangel Michael deck. The card was reversed, but I want to pull it up right so you can read it. It says, your children are watched over by angels. For me, this can be two different levels here. If we take it out of the lens of having actual physical children, this is your kind of like your projects, your babies, whatever it is that you're trying to create. And we do have the Empress card here, which is a very fertile card that can come through not only as a card of parents, mothers and fathers, but also as a creative card, an ambassador for something that you want to bring out into the world. And it feels some of you are afraid of whatever that is, how it might be judged, how it might be received. So you have to love that first. So if you're trying to launch a business, write a book, share something with the world, whatever it is, then you have to believe in that, or again, other people won't be able to believe in it. Now, for those of you that are trying to conceive, we have the Empress card in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, but the outcome is very positive. We have the Ace of Swords. So this is showing perseverance, and it also is showing that the timing this month may not be ideal. With Judgment reverse, it can also be getting a second opinion. So when it comes to health issues, talk to another doctor, or when it comes to something like conception, the timing this month, particularly if your body is stressed out, that could be the biggest component that's leading to you having a hard time conceiving. And finally, if you have children that are already grown or children that are of any age, really, this is showing that your protective thoughts and prayers are being heard. So keep putting that positive energy out towards them. It also shows me that they're thinking of you or want maybe a call or a connection with you. So a lot of child energy is coming through this month, both literally and also sort of symbolically. As I said, if there's something that you're creating and birthing, that's also coming through. So some exciting messages across the board. I feel like this was a very intense and very deep reading, so I want to kind of go through and review it, and this is the point that we're at right now. So I'm going to turn the camera down and go through everything that we talked about, and then I'll leave you with a closing word. Your catalyst this month was threefold. First of all, to not focus so much on the difference between where you want to be and where you are right now. Remember that your future is beginning with your thoughts and your beliefs right here and right now. They are constantly creating your reality. So you want to think as large, as big, as sort of expansively as possible. And that is going to be the key to your success. Dream big, think big, and know that as you start to create your thoughts, you're going to start to create your reality. This month, interestingly enough, we have a sort of sedentary animal that would normally be speeding through the forest or through the hills, I would say more appropriately here, with the gazelle. And because we're looking at what looks to me as a rising sun, I would say the morning routine is going to be especially important for you. Take time to meditate. Even if it's while you're brushing your teeth, taking a bath, taking a shower, you need to sort of set your intention for the day. give a little bit of gratitude and ground yourself. This is going to help you so that when you have those moments of punctuated activity, that you're going to be ready for that. As we look at your central card, there is that same sort of message echoed with temperance, temperance reversed. Try to keep your cool. Realize that there's going to be some surprises that come through this month. You don't want to lose your footing. You don't want to lose your temper. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with others as well. Keep your eye set on what you're trying to do, but don't be so sort of razor focused in that you miss an opportunity along the way. This is as much about your focus as it is about being open-minded. So you want to be present, listen to others, adjust course as needed. We talked about sort of a snake changing skins. And for some of you, this could mean a change of job, a change of major, or simply a decision that you want to try something different. And if that's the case, that's a-okay, because we're constantly evolving as human beings. We see a generally positive card here in your deep past. There's only one warning that comes through, which is to avoid extremes. That includes holding yourself to too high of a standard or thinking that everything has to be positive. There's always a good takeaway, but you have to be authentic in the emotion. Whether it's an emotion of loss or a frustration, you have to kind of go to what triggered you and then work on the trigger rather than just sweeping it under the rug. Ultimately, don't let one small thing kind of push you off your positive trajectory. You're making good progress on that and you have a good attitude, and all of those things are serving you well. Ace of Wands in reverse. This really had to do about what's going on in your mind. And we mentioned that once you kind of solve a lot of that, then your vitality comes back. So focus on emotions, on any sort of blocks in your energy system. And by doing that, you're going to really realize that a lot of this was internal work that needed to be done. Then everything breaks through here at the end of the month. It's really important as we look at this. This is as much a card of forgiveness as it is decision making. So if something happened in your life or if someone else did something, this is connected with what I saw at the center, which was to be patient and to forgive. So try to be open-minded and see how every person is just a human being at their soul essence, and they're not inherently bad or good. They're going through an experience. I think everybody has a kernel of love at their soul. So if you can find that love, then you can understand that it's not a binary good versus evil. It's a path of evolution, and you can hopefully come to a place where you forgive them and forgive yourself. Judgment also has to do with external decisions being made that you may not be able to control. So be patient, be flexible, move through those, and realize that this is just one small hiccup that the universe might be presenting before your big breakthrough, because after this is the world, and the world is expansion. King of Swords reversed. One of your best skills this month is communication, and really every month, because that's part of your sign, but it's tempered a little bit by your mood, by your patience, by any sort of frustration of what might be going on. So focus on not being too critical with yourself or others. And also when you're looking at other forms of communication, contracts in particular, look at those with a fine-tooth comb. Even though communication is your strong suit, this month it's being put to the test. So take your time. And I would also say, think before you speak. I didn't mention that earlier, but I do want to highlight that here. We have some interesting cards as we look to the right here, especially in your ego. The Empress reversed is showing you that you are a strong person. You don't need to always exert that strength in your speech or in your actions. It's more important to just believe in yourself. It's also a card of being able to manifest. And I think the important thing for you this month is to really focus on your life, your self-evolution, and healing any sort of wounds or scars that need to be healed. That's going to help you take whatever you have and bring it into fruition. For pregnancy, a reminder that you might need to really look at the calendar and figure out if this is the right time. Some of you are just simply too stressed out right now to focus on that. Looking at wealth, there are some changes and shifts that are coming through. For some of you, this could be a change that involves like a transfer and a move all at once, and that could feel a little overwhelming. So do take care of yourself in that situation. Overall, though, I'm seeing that the important thing is to also bring a connection or a parity between how you feel about your job, your wealth, and also your life in general. Are you doing something that you don't like? If so, this is a chance to try to reset that or get closer to what your soul's desire is. As we look at opportunities, also hopes and fears, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. And what I said earlier here with this card and also the Ace of Swords upright is that it's important to really feel what you're saying and doing. Again, I think all of these are connected here. So if there's something that's going on where you're projecting something that isn't authentic, it's going to come out this month. So you have to resolve it. It's really important there because we saw, as we looked at the expanded forecast, that internal conflict is going to affect how people at work and people in your love life will kind of connect with you. Going back to health here, it's really important that if there's any sort of warning signs that you feel in your body, an ache, a pain, or just an intuition, that you get that checked out. You really need to be present, so try to avoid distractions. Take your earphones out, put your phone in your pocket, watch where you're walking, watch where you're driving. And don't burn the candle at both ends. You need to take care of yourself. Nutrition, sleep, all of that matters this month. With wealth, if people are not believing you or not seeing you, again, work on body language and the type of communication, not only that you're kind of putting out to them, but also what's going on in your head. How do you feel? Because that's having a direct effect on how others perceive you. It's almost as if they can hear that dialogue, whether it's positive or negative. Same thing holds true for love relationships. If you love yourself first and you respect yourself first, you're going to be calling in people that will not be bossing you around or won't be testing and trying that sort of assumption. A lot of childlike energy coming through with destiny. So some of you may be thinking of expanding your family. Some of you may be thinking of your children quite a bit. And some of you may have a project that feels so near and dear to you that it's almost like you're giving birth to a child. Whatever the case is, we go back to the center. It's all about patience, loving yourself, and then loving that project as well. And just trusting that as a parent, if it is a project, that you'll know when to kind of release it into the world. And with your children, just know that they're always connected to you. They can feel your love, they can hear your prayers, and that's what this is saying as well. All right, Libra, that brings our monthly reading to a close, but I hope you got exactly what you needed out of this to walk through the month with a sense of confidence, and also if there's any challenges that come through, to be able to go through those without fear, without anxiety, to really keep your cool and your grounding, because that was one of the messages that came through. But if you ever feel like you want to talk a little bit more, either about something that we discussed here, or maybe there's something going on in your life, then I'm here for you and I'd be happy to chat. The way that you can reach out and book an appointment is by clicking on the first card or the first link below the video. This will take you to my website where you can look at rates and availability, and if it makes sense, then I'm here for you. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, everything that you see here is fan and viewer supported. So I rely on your contributions and your support to make it a reality. And if you click on the second card or the second link, this will take you to a page on my website that talks about how you can become a patron. And basically this means that you could do a one-time contribution or more of a sustaining one. A one-time contribution could be PayPal. I'm also on Patreon, and now you can even click the join button here. All of that is basically detailed on that page, so feel free to click the second card or second link. And not only does this help me buy really cool new decks like the one I was using today, but it also allows me to set up the calendar time to do these videos. Each of them takes about a day a piece, and so that's a half a month that I need to organize and get all of this together. So just want to thank everybody that's ever contributed in the past. You've made this possible, and if you're thinking of helping me with the next round, I just want to say I love you and I appreciate it. The third way that you can make a difference is really easy, and it just involves a couple of clicks on the website. First and foremost, please like and subscribe if you haven't already done that, and you can opt into the notification bell to receive emails whenever I post videos. That's the easiest way to know when I post a new round. And of course, I would love for you to join me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as my newsletter, and you can get to all of this by clicking on the third card or the third link. Once you've done that, I'd love for you also to share what you see here on your social media feeds. This helps me with one of my planetary goals, which is to try to spread light across the planet, to try to wake people up and to really have some great conversations about spirituality. So when you do a simple like, share, and subscribe, you help me do all of that. So I just want to say thank you. Now let's go to your closing word for this month. I think the most important thing, I keep now being drawn to this Judgment card. And this is about you being able to see that everything is actually working out to support you right now. Judgment reverse can be a feeling that somehow the environment or the world or people around you don't see you, don't understand you, or are working against you. The whole experience, this whole human experience, is actually called into existence for our benefit. Life is happening for us, not to us. These challenges are happening to wake us up, not to punish us. And once we claim our power in this situation and realize I'm a conductor, I mentioned this in another sign, but that's really what we all are. We're painters, we're authors, we're conductors. We are the creators of our own story. Then once you realize that you are writing your story as you go, then the ending can be anything that you want. So please do everything in your power to make that happy ending. You deserve it, okay? Thank you again for spending the better part of an hour with me. I appreciate you. You have a lot of choices here on YouTube and also in life, so the fact that you allowed me to be a part of your journey means a lot and it humbles me. I'll see you again in 1 month's time. Until then, be kind to yourself and be kind to others.